My name is Kadri Ugand, and I was asked to talk a bit about great teams and how we spot them. So what kind of teams do we see are investable? But I'm not going to only talk about this in terms of an accelerator. I'm trying to give you a bit of a broader perspective in terms of investors in general. But so before we start, can I have a show of hands who here are startups looking for investment? One, two. And others are investors? Are you investors? Do we have investors in the room? Okay. So the one startup, did you spot the investors that you're going to have to pitch to after my talk? Good job. You already have an advantage. So clever startups always have an advantage. Remember that. So GameFounders. I am from GameFounders. We are a startup accelerator, and we are operating only in the gaming sector. So we are looking for gaming startups from all over the world. We bring them to Estonia. We make a small seed investment, and they go through 3 months of very, I would say, exhaustive program of about 80 mentors helping them with their games and helping them develop those games. And our evaluation process has many stages. So we have the applications, we have Skype interviews, we have online evaluation. So we get to know the teams quite well. So this is the reason why I think that today's presentation will also be useful for you, is that I have seen quite a lot of teams. But before that, so one thing to remember when speaking to investors, I see a lot of game startups go up to the investors and show their game and, oh, this is my cool game and please invest in this and this is how we monetize and it's so funny and it has so nice graphics. But what is the investor thinking? What do you think? They're thinking about, is this going to make me money? So in terms of loving your product and thinking that it's the best one, good start, but also always think about the money behind it. And the fact that investors are looking more at teams and publishers are looking more at games comes from the deal structure. So the publisher is going to be with you for the one game that he's signing you for. But the investor is going to invest in the team. He's going to take equity. He's going to be a part of the team, even after the first game has either made it big or totally flopped, but they will still be staying with you. So that is why the investors are actually very much looking at the team itself. So how does it all start? You know, you have those kids, they play some games, they love the games, they think that something is missing, but they know exactly how it's supposed to be fixed. They find some other kids who thinks the same thing, and voila, here's your startup. So we have seen startups from all over the world, and I have a slide about geography, but I don't really think that the geography matters when we are investing. So we invest in companies all over the world. But if you are a startup and you are looking for investment, so you should definitely think about how big the investment it is that you need. So if the investment is small, there is no point in going across the world to look for the investor. So you should definitely look for the investor in your own country or in the neighboring countries, or if it's a bit bigger, in the region. But always keep in mind that the smaller the investment, the more the investor would want to communicate with you every day and be very aware of where your program or where your game is at. And another thing that I wanted to, so I mean, basically geography does not matter to us, but it matters to you if you're looking for small investments. So do your research, see who is investing in your region and target them. In terms of team size, one person is not a team. I cannot say it enough, and we see so many people who just are alone and they come and, oh, we have such a cool game. But I mean, look at the pictures. The guy that is alone, he even looks so sad. The other ones are having so much more fun. So you know, you have to have a team. So when you go to your investor, you're just alone. You have your game, and then even if you say that, yeah, I'm gonna find myself a team. So why don't you? If you know that you're gonna have to find your team anyway, why don't you do it before you go to the investor? You will have so much more chances of actually getting investment. But on the flip side of it, I'm not saying that the team has to be huge. The team should probably be, I don't know, let's say like 3 to 6 people. the first version of Clash of Clans was made by 6 people, I heard yesterday. So it doesn't have to be a huge team behind it, but it's just one person, not a team. And we don't even accept one-person teams. So in that sense, I think it applies to all sort of investments. But more than the size, I mean, size does matter, but more than the size, I think it's also the competences. So, you know, if you're a control freak like I am, you think that you can do everything. Actually, you can't. Well, you can for a while and then you die, but you don't want to do that. So I have listed a few things that I think are important things to have in a gaming team. But at the same time, these can be in smaller teams. All the things can be combined in 1, 2, 3 persons, so you don't have to have a huge team for that. But a team will basically have to make a good game and be happy while doing it. So you have to find the right persons for the different tasks that you think that your game needs. And definitely, what you also can do is, when you identify a part of your team that you need but you don't have, figure out how to outsource it. So if you're approaching the investor, you should already know that. So you can say that, okay, my team has like these 3 components already, but this is what we're lacking, but I know where to get it, and I already have contacts. So basically, you don't have to be perfect, but you have to have a very solid plan how to become a perfect team. And of course, when we are talking about bigger investments, so let's go beyond the startups and the first investment. So when we're talking about bigger investments and when we're talking about VCs already, then they like to have also teams that are able to not only produce the game, but also publish the game. So if they're making investments into you that are like $1 million or bigger, they expect returns as well. So if you have a publishing deal and half the revenue is going to the publisher, they might not be that interested. So instead, they are looking for teams that already have the publishing arm inside it as well. But I think that is probably a few steps beyond the startups that we are talking about now. So where do our teams come from? So I have like broadly identified 4 different kind of people, so where they're coming from. So it's either employees of gaming companies that figure out that they want to make their own game, they quit their job, they make a startup. Or it has been teams that have been making games for other people, and now they have figured out that your own IP will make you more money if you're successful. And then we have graduates of different universities or game schools, and also we have people who have just taught themselves, or I call them hobbyists. So it's a very complex situation in a sense that I think that the employees probably have the most, and also the work for hire have the most competence, but at the same time they have the most to lose as well. So if you already have a company, you're doing work for hire, you're doing pretty well, you're managing your own startup, so why give that all up and start doing your own IP? So the motivation, and let's say they might tend to go back to what they were doing before. So it's a sort of a flip side, and I think that these are like the 2 things that you should definitely convince the investors that you know how to, that you have them. So you are competent, but you're also motivated. So if you're saying that, you know, we're doing work for hire and this is going really well, and we just want to like check this one game and then be done with it, then that is not a way to approach the investor. So the key is basically to find a balance between it. Another aspect, experience. So age is not experience. I was recently judging this panel of gaming teams, and this one team came up and pitched that oh, we have this perfect team with like veterans and young talent, and it sounded really good. And then when the Q&A came up, and then I asked, so can you tell me a bit about your like veterans in your game? Like, are they just older? Do they have experience? They're just old. They're just 50-year-old guys that have been like gaming for their whole lives. Why would you say that? This is not a way to get the investor. Like, I have a bunch of old guys here, like, give me money. So, I mean, I'm not saying that these persons cannot bring you value. Of course, if you have been playing games for 20 years, you know something about the user experience and what you are lacking and where you want to monetize, but at the same time, that is not probably the unique selling point of your team. So also the instead next to experience of specific members of the team, I think it's also really important to look at the combined experience, or let's say joint experience. So it's very, very important to us to see that the teams have worked together already before and that they have created something together. So otherwise we are maybe ending up with a rockstar team that has like 5 different like really cool people, but when you put them in the same room, it's like a bunch of divas and they cannot really get anything done. So it's very, very important for us to see that the team has experience working together and that they can do that. And also a lot of the things that you heard right before me about all the agile tools, and we like to see the teams using it and be comfortable with it, and so basically have experience in working as a team, which is quite important. So, but how do we validate experience? So a lot of the things, a lot of the times, what we do is we just we go to your LinkedIn page. We look at who you know. We look at if we have any common people that we know. We call them. We ask them. But also you get endorsed in LinkedIn. So we look at that. Like if only 3 people have endorsed you for making games, probably you are not that super good at it. If you have 60 people, we already believe you. So all the time, the things that I'm telling you right now, it's definitely not something that you can change in a second. But there are a lot of things that you can do. Just presentation-wise, you might even not know what you are lacking. So in that sense, keep your LinkedIn page updated. And another very, very important thing is vision and focus. So I have had a startup come up to me and pitch that. So we have a lot of different prototypes. We have this shooter, then we have this cool casual game. We're thinking about a console game. What do you think I should do? Well, if I knew how to do it, I would do it myself. Like, why would you say that to an investor? So I think that it's very important to show that you have a plan and that you know what you want to do. And also something that stuck with me from the mobile mixer yesterday: hope is not a strategy. So have a real strategy, and know what are your unique selling points, and also know how to turn those into the returns that the investor are looking for. So I have seen, like for instance, I've seen a lot of pitch decks that says that we are looking for 300 or 200, whatever, 1,000 euros, and so when we ask them, what do you want to do with it? Well, we're going to develop our game for like in 2 months. And so how big is the team? 2 people. So, okay, if you just want to use 200,000 for salaries, you're not going to get it. So in that sense, like, be prepared and know what you want to achieve, how you're going to do it, have all the steps to it, and that's basically the way to make your team more investable, is to be prepared. And yeah, so to sum the whole thing up, so we can go to Q&A. Yeah, I think that's a good time. So to sum it up, a boring slide. So never ever have a slide like this in your pitch deck. That is boring, but just to amuse you. It sums up what we have been talking about, and I know I've been talking about the team all the time. That is the subject. That does not mean that your game is not important. Your game is very important. That is what you get the attention with. But as I said, with investors, they will have to be sticking with you also for the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th game. So you really have to present the team, and you really have to know how to do it. So now the startups that have spotted the investors can run at them now.
Or ask very smart questions to make
True.
it seem like they really are prepared for this investor discussion. Thank you very much, Kadri. Any questions? Anybody here want some money? There we go.
So from what you showed here, for me it seems that to have a really experienced team that knows what they want to do is enough or not. I mean, for example,
very experienced team that knows
yeah,
what they want to do is enough for most
yeah, so
investors.
there is 6 points, and for me it seems that I can explain it in one sentence. Very experienced team that worked for a few years before, and they know what they want to build and what they want to do.
Yes, I agree with you, but I think that a lot of startups have not registered that because of the amount of applications that I see, and that they're not presenting it in a way, and they still think that hope is a strategy, is why we discussed this today.
But you also evaluate the strategy. I mean, do you look at the game the team wants to make, and how do you evaluate their idea?
Well, we definitely look at the game, because the game that the team presents actually shows what the skill sets of the team is able to make. And it also shows what is the acceptable quality level for this team. So in that sense, we definitely look at the game. And fortunately, we have about 20 people from our mentoring network and from our investors that have done this for quite some time. So they are looking for the game and also assessing its different aspects. So we do definitely look at the game.
Hi, question. Good morning. Andrew from Absorber Games. Can you share with us the trends in investment, particularly focused on games at the moment? Where are investors really looking for, and what are they not looking for?
Well, I do have to say that it's becoming more difficult to find investment right now. That is both in Europe and in the US. I don't have like specific figures for you, but I feel that like a year ago or so, people were still sort of starting the gaming investments, and they were like, you could find more angels investing into games, but now these same angels are sort of like waiting. So what's going to happen with the investments that we made? So there is a bit of a pause. But I think that with all the big deals that we have seen on the market, it's definitely going to pick up again.
Hello. My name is Boris, and I would like to ask you if you find interesting a game for that team. Is it necessary to move to Estonia, or he can do that game from his homeland?
Well, for GameFounders, it is necessary to move, because our value is not in the money that we invest. We invest quite a small amount of money, but the value for us is that we get about 60 or 70 people from the gaming industry come over and talk to the teams and look at their games. So if you're not in Estonia, they're not going to be able to look at your game. But saying that, if you find an angel investor, they will probably not make you move, depending on how far you are, of course.
So how important is it in general to have an actual playable game to show versus an experienced team and a really cool idea and a strategy on how you're going to leverage that idea?
Well, if you're talking about GameFounders and our experience, then it is important to have something ready to show, because when you have all these hordes of mentors coming in, they have to look at something. If you're spending all your time trying to like explain your ideas on paper to them, then that is just not a good way to use that time. So we do require some sort of playable or slice or something.
Hello. Just a quick question. If your, like, I don't know, incubator are interested in venture investments, like from $1 million, 2 million, or you're more like seed investments?
Well, we do only seed investments.
Okay.
So for these amounts, you would have to be looking for a VC.
Okay, great.
Although there does seem to be a strange gap in funding between about 500,000 and about 5 million. It's hard to find money in that range.
Then you have to combine the 500,000s.
Great, more investors to manage.
I know.
Do you have any advice as far as do you have any advice as far as how to manage your relationship with investors once you have one?
I think that also so much depends. Some investors, like especially angel investors, they do require like a board seat, and they are really involved in the game, but in the team. But we are not that much. But yeah, I think it really depends on the investor.
I have a question. My name is Sveta. Do you have any ideas of what game do you want to invest initially before you meet the team? I mean, what is in trend in the market, kind of that?
We are not picky in the sense of we take all platforms, all genres, all business models. So we don't have any.
I see. And what about the kinds of the games?
Sorry?
So about the kind of the games, is it Hog or something else? Do you have some preferences on this?
No.
No.
Everybody is welcome. The deadline is December the 8th.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much, Kadri.
Thank you.